So I may have made a mistake. As some of you may know, I was in a contest with one of my friends to see who could get more video channel subscribers in 1 month. And in an effort to help spite him, I advertised this channel on my personal Facebook page, which was kind of a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, the outpouring of support from my family and friends was more than I thought it would be, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you for all that have subscribed. But on the other hand, now I've outed myself as a crazy person with all the food for when the power grid goes down. And if anyone's thinking, oh, we'll just go over to his house if ever something happens and he'll take care of us, like, I don't really have the heart to tell my friends and family that at the first sign of trouble I'm throwing my girlfriend and all my dried beans in the car and I'm fucking off to Central Oregon somewhere. So in order to feel marginally less guilty about fucking off into the woods to live like Uncle Ted when shit hits the fan, I decided I should probably re-up and rechange my format a little bit to better suit what I'm trying to do. Firstly, I've gotten rid of the electric burner. I didn't like it that much, it wasn't that efficient, it didn't boil water properly, and also, I don't know if you know this, but you can't run a burner like that with a solar panel. The peak wattage of the burner is too high for a solar panel to deal with unless you have a battery bank, which is significantly more expensive than just having a solar panel and the whole thing. But what isn't expensive and is fairly accessible is a single propane burner. I picked up a cheap propane burner. It was about 30 bucks, got an extension to hook up to my 5-gallon propane tank, and that's what I will be using exclusively for cooking or baking or anything that I'm going to be doing, because A, it doesn't matter that I have a KitchenAid mixer if you don't have a KitchenAid mixer, or if I have a food processor and you don't have a food processor, because if I'm using a tool that you don't have access to, it doesn't help anyone that much. You'll have to approximate anyway, so I might as well just do it without the tool to begin with. If the power goes out, no one has a KitchenAid, no one has a food processor, so might as well learn to do it from scratch. Secondly, I'm re-upping this board a little bit to be a little more clear as to what I'm trying to do, because the first one, while it was like, I thought it was funny and it was all spaghettied out there, my intention was to show the progression down from things that I call components, which I'll get into in the next video. Components, which would be your flour or your rice or your beans or whatever have you, and turning those components down into ingredients, which would be turning cornmeal into polenta or flour into bread or beans into refried beans or something like that. That would be an ingredient. And then turning ingredients into meals. So in this here, and which is what we're going to be doing today, I have cornbread, cream turns into butter, butter goes into cornbread, and we have cornmeal, sugar, milk, flour, and egg all coming together into one meal. I'm going to be a little more clear on that in the future. Thirdly, and lastly, it doesn't matter how efficiently and how, if I have the ingredients on hand, to make saffron chicken or something with very expensive and hard to find ingredients if not everyone can get those expensive and hard to find ingredients. So something I will also be doing is doing a cost breakdown of this to prove that it does not matter what I'm making, you can afford it. I guarantee it. As some of you may know, I am very cheap. I don't fuck around with expensive things. I want to prove that if I can do it in a bunker with no electricity for pennies, that you can do it in a full-ass kitchen with all the resources you have available. No excuses. I know you can do it. So, to kick this off, I want to introduce something that I haven't really used in my day-to-day life, but I'm going to be using more and more with this, because if I've only got a single propane burner, I don't have access to an oven as such. I don't have that dry heat oven, so I'm going to have to improvise. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a steam oven. It's fairly simple. You should have most of the stuff on hand. You can substitute a real oven if you have one, but for my purposes showing you, I want to make things harder on me than they will be on you to prove that you can do it. So, let's get into that. Ostensibly, we will be remaking cornbread today, but the real purpose of this video is to explain the steam oven. Start your water to boiling in your vessel, in my case my cast iron pan, and cover with a lid. Meanwhile, combine 3/4 of a cup flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 5 tablespoons sugar, 1 1/4 cup cornmeal, and 1/4 cup powdered milk in a bowl, and whisk to combine. In a separate bowl, combine 3 tablespoons melted butter, 3/4 cup of water, and 1 egg, and whisk to combine. Before mixing the wet and dry ingredients together, grease an 8-inch pie pan with butter, or ghee in my case. The purpose behind keeping the wet and dry ingredients separate is that baking powder reacts with water to form carbon dioxide, which causes the cornbread to rise and get fluffy. Mixing the wet ingredients in too early will make for a denser cornbread. Pour the batter into the greased pan and cover tightly with tinfoil to keep the cornbread dry. Set some spacers into your steam vessel. In my case, I'm using mason jar rings. Put your cornbread in the oven, reduce the heat from a boil to a simmer, put the lid on the oven and steam for about half an hour. For those using a real oven, bake at 350 degrees for 20 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out dry. So, there are some obvious differences in a steam oven versus a conventional oven, the biggest one being temperature regulation. Boiling water hits 210 degrees Fahrenheit, or 100 degrees communist, and doesn't go any higher until all the boiling water is converted to steam. So a steam oven won't be able to hit the high temperatures you're going to need for some dishes. Also, being set at a lower temperature will necessarily make your bakes take longer. In my experience, it's going to take about twice as long to bake in a steam oven than a conventional oven set to 350 degrees. A hidden advantage to this is that unless you let your steam oven run out of water, it's very hard to burn food in it. The process of browning and burning food is known as a Maillard reaction, in which amino acids and sugars react to heat to make foods first golden, then browned, and then blackened. However, in addition to the heat required, a Maillard reaction also requires a humidity of about 10%. A steam oven has a humidity of about 100%. So this, combined with the necessarily lower temperature of the steam oven, results in a gentler baking process that will burn food less frequently at the cost of not having your food get that nice golden brown color. After about half an hour, feel the top of the cornbread through the foil. It should be firm to the touch. Remove the cornbread from the oven. From here, it's ready to eat, but I like my cornbread with a little bit of honey butter and salt, so I'm going to add that. Combine equal parts honey and butter, in my case 2 tablespoons of each, and combine until you have a homogeneous mixture. Paint the honey butter onto the warm cornbread until you're satisfied, and then sprinkle on a fine layer of salt. Serve immediately, and in my case, eat as much of it as possible before the cat discovers you made cornbread again and demands that you share it with him. Alright, now that we have the cornbread, it's time for the cost breakdown. Flour, 11 cents. Baking powder, 4 cents. Sugar, 8 cents. Salt, less than a penny. Cornmeal, 36 cents. Powdered milk, 52 cents. 1 egg, 10 cents. Butter, 23 cents. For a total of $1.43. The honey butter was 15 cents of honey and 15 cents of butter, which brings our total to $1.73 for this pan of cornbread, which equals about 1 mercury dime's worth of silver or 3,700 satoshis. Whether that's worth it or not is up to you though. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel and consider checking out some of my other videos, especially if they relate to this one. More importantly though, if you tried this recipe, Let me know how it went in the comments.